Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching BrassTacks with me, Anusha Soni. Congress President and the Leader of Opposition in Rajya Sabha, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, made a direct attack on the government and the Prime Minister. While questioning the government's refusal to have a discussion on the Tawang issue on the floor of the House, Mr. Kharge referred the Prime Minister as a chuha or a mouse. To quote Mr. Kharge, he said that while the government portrays itself to be a lion, in reality, their conduct is like a mouse. The BJP, as expected, has condemned the statement demanding apology. This once again takes our attention and focus around the political narrative, especially around national security issues. While a responsible discussion is crucial for democracy and in the interest of national security, is there a need for rethinking political discourse around the national security matters? The question for the Congress party is that whether far more responsibility and restraint be exercised on national security matters, and are those personal jibes really warranted? And to the BJP or to the government, why has the opposition not been taken into confidence on such a critical issue concerning national security? First up, a special report.
हमारे पार्टी के नेताओं ने जान दिया, तुम क्या किए? आपके घर में कोई देश के लिए कुत्ता तो मरा है, क्या कोई तो कुर्बानी दी है? बाहर तो शेर के जैसा बात करते हैं, लेकिन उनका जो चलना है वो सिर्फ आप देखेंगे तो चूहे के जैसा है.
2 days, two big attacks from Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, which have now sparked a political storm. Kharge was criticizing the Modi government for not taking on China for its incursions along the border and running away from a debate on the issue in Parliament. But according to the BJP, Kharge crossed a line.
I cannot believe that Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress President, can stoop so low and use this kind of very objectionable remarks.
The remarks rocked Parliament as well. There was pandemonium in the Rajya Sabha as Kharge and Union Minister Piyush Goyal squared off. Goyal demanded an apology from the Congress President.
जिस प्रकार से खरगे जी ने पूरी तरीके से बेबुनियाद बातें रखी, असत्य को देश के सामने रखने की कोशिश की, मैं उसकी घोर निंदा करता हूं और उनसे माफी की मांग करता हूं. उन्होंने माफी मांगनी चाहिए.
Scoffing at the apology demand, Kharge only doubled down.
देश को एकता रखने के लिए ये कांग्रेस पार्टी ये सब भारत तोड़ो यात्रा कर रही है, ऐसा क्रिटिसाइज उन्होंने किया. तब मैंने ये कहा, भाई कांग्रेस पार्टी हमेशा देश को जोड़ने की बात करती है. सर, इसके लिए इंदिरा गांधी जी ने अपनी जान दी, राजीव गांधी जी ने अपना जान दिया. आप कौन लोग इस देश के एकता के लिए अपनी जान दिए? मैंने ये कहा.
Ahead of the recent Gujarat elections, Kharge had referred to Prime Minister Modi as Ravan. The remark backfired for the Congress, and how? As the BJP won a historic mandate. So will the party pay the price for the latest round of Gaali politics?
Well, lows in political discourse are not unknown to this country and national politics, but these are matters of national security. Is there a need for rethink? Joining us on the broadcast is Mr. R.P. Singh from the BJP, Kailash Adhikari, who's an MD of Governance Now. We also have Karan Verma, who's an author. We are expecting Meeta Chakrabarti from the Congress Party and Rashid Kidwai also to join us in just a bit. But Mr. Singh, I'm coming to you. I wanted to open the show with the Congress Party and their defense of what Mr. Kharge has said. But I listened to that entire soundbite of Mr. Kharge. While the language he used, especially the terms that he used, are unparliamentary in nature, there is a repeated demand from the opposition to have a discussion on the floor of the House. Why has that not happened?
Well, the discussion started and the Defence Minister gave a statement. And it's not the first time that on security matters, ministers give statement. 2013, 2008, 2006, I can send you details of the parliament proceedings.
Sure.
Where statements were issued and no discussion happened. I remember Mr. Manmohan Singh on 28/4/2013, 28th of April 2014, said देश की सीमाओं में 19 किलोमीटर, sorry, he said exact word is प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा चीन के हाल में घुसपैठ बनी स्थिति पर भारत को तूल नहीं देना चाहिए. This is in the parliament, man said. So this has been a precedent. It's nothing new which is happening, that on matter of security, the statement is issued and later on matter go to PSC and where things are discussed. But what are they asking? They are asking about where all the forces are deployed. Where are the breaches in the security apparatus? This is being asked. Manish Tiwari is on record asking where are the forces deployed, where it lacked. You can't answer these questions in the parliament or in public domain. And then there is no breach. I mean, had there been breach, then how could our forces have given them rebuttal, proper rebuttal? Give me another second. And especially the new law which is there in the political discourse, the language which is being used. And let me put it very bluntly today. This chest thumping that हमारे नेताओं ने शहादत दी. What shahadat are you talking about? I'm saying it today on record. Mrs. Gandhi did what she did. It was her chess game which she got caught into it. And then later on she has to give her life, which we are also very sad.
Mr. Singh, I take the points.
No. It's important.
Mr. Singh, with due respect, I take the points that you have made, especially when it comes to, the national security details and the strategic details which the government of the day cannot share openly. This is a national security matter at the end of the day. And there is only as much information that can be put out in the public domain. Point well made. Before I go to the Congress party and ask them questions about the laws and political discourse that we're talking about, is there another way to take opposition into confidence? And I ask this question to you because you're the elected government of the day. And in Indian democracy, there has been a thriving tradition and convention that on key issues of national importance, often the opposition parties are taken into confidence, they are briefed about the issue. Mr. Singh.
Well, this is not the first time it has happened. Yes, I answer. This is not the first time it has happened.
Yeah.
This has happened more than 1,000 times in last few years. I mean, this sort of infringement has not happened for the first time. And then they don't believe on anyone. When the army chief Narwane ji said that not an inch of land has been taken by China, that time they didn't believe the army chief. So they don't believe in army also. So that's why the defense minister issued a statement, the foreign minister issued a statement in the parliament.
Okay.
And even then you say, हमारे जवान पिटे हैं. Give me a second. हमारे जवान पिटे हैं. Well, probably he's talking about the PLA jawan, because for him jawans are PLA jawan, not the Indian army. Because
I take strong
he is being
exception
fed
to
by
that statement.
PLA,
Mitaji, I'll give you the
China.
opportunity. Yeah. Mr. Singh, you've made your point. Mitaji,
I'll
I'll give you uninterrupted time to make all your points and rebut all the points that the BJP has made. Before that, I want you to address this question because that's how I opened the debate. You took few seconds to join us on the show. That when it comes to political discourse around national security, is there more restraint that we should exercise? And that's a question to all political parties, including the Congress party. But in the last 2 days, we have seen these two statements. Hamare jawan Arunachal mein pit rahe hain. That was a statement that came from Rahul Gandhi. BJP, took an exception to that statement. Today, the statement of Mr. Kharge is something that the BJP is saying is very unparliamentary and inappropriate.
Okay, firstly, we salute the valor of Indian Army and the sacrifices that Indian Army makes to keep our borders secured. And in this hour of crisis, we stand with our army, we stand with the entire nation, including the government of India. But as the principal opposition party, we are well within our rights to ask certain legitimate queries and to raise our concerns, both inside the parliament as well as outside the parliament. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, we are talking about insults and about language. I have heard the entire speech of Kharge ji. Kharge ji was trying to refer to the fact that we have lost our former prime ministers and leaders of the Congress party, Indira Gandhi ji and Rajiv Gandhi ji, the way they were assassinated. We have, as an organization, we have fought for the independence of this nation. We have made supreme sacrifices for this nation. So when we raise a concern, it is a concern for national security and for our territorial integrity. It should be taken in that spirit. So just picking up a mere word from a political rally which was made outside the parliament and raising a ruckus inside the parliament is completely unfortunate. Number three, if we are done with this tutu meme, can we really focus on the real issues? Our queries are very simple. Have we, the Ministry of External Affairs has clearly stated that Chinese troops are trying over and over again to transgress and to come into our territories, to occupy Indian posts. And the status quo is, they're unilaterally trying to disturb the status quo. So my first query is, have we been able to restore the pre-2020 status quo in along the line of actual control with China. My first query. My second query, is it not a fact that the Chinese troops are within 18 kilometers deep in Dim Sum for the last 2 years? Is there 1,000 square kilometer of territory in eastern Ladakh, which was earlier patrolled by the Indian troops, which is no longer being patrolled? Are we creating, my fourth query, are we creating new buffer zones along the line of actual control? What is a buffer zone? A buffer zone is a zone where none of the troops, neither Chinese nor Indian troops, are being allowed to patrol. That means there were areas that we were patrolling earlier and we are no longer patrolling. Okay. Are the Chinese troops building permanent winter home shelters for their soldiers along this disputed area?
I gave you uninterrupted time to make your point. Mitaji.
Give me 10 more seconds, because these points are very important. These points are very, very important.
Make your point.
When we are asking these very legitimate queries, and we're asking for a discussion either in the parliament or the government of the day can say that no, we cannot discuss this in the parliament. We are willing to have a closed door meeting. All we are saying is take us into confidence.
Okay.
Take us into confidence.
Mitaji, I have 2 points that I want to follow up with you. One is that there's a quote from Mr. Kharge's statement, and I heard that entire speech that he made at the Bharat Jodo Yatra. और उन्होंने कहा कि बाहर तो शेर की तरह जैसे बातें करते हैं, लेकिन उनका चलना जो है वो चूहे के जैसा है. I take your argument that is this nitpicking on a statement and blowing it out of context. I'll raise that question to the BJP. The second point, are the details that you're seeking in the public domain not strategic details? The Congress party has much experience on its hands when it comes to running matters, when it comes to running of government. You're far more older as a political party and you have much more experience. Do you think that when India is involved in an intricate process of disengagement, can the government really come on the floor of the House and make statements like this?
Can I answer that?
Of course. Please go ahead.
I am not asking for military strategy. So in a situation like this, there are 4 or 5 ways of going ahead, right? Diplomatic ties, then we have military engagements, then building international pressure, and then economic sanctions or building economic pressure on China. Now we have seen in 21-22, we have done record high trade with China, about 115 billion US dollars, with a trade deficit of around 75 billion US dollars in Chinese favor. So banning just a few Chinese applications, software Chinese application, is clearly not serving our purpose. That's number one. That's about the economic sanction. Number 2, we are well within our rights that what are you doing? If you do not want to discuss the diplomatic strategy in public domain, call for a closed door meeting.
I want to take those points, and I have to bring in other guests also into the discussion. Mitaji, just one point that, if you look at the trade of history between India and China, and even during the peak of the Indo-China war, if you're a student of history, you would know that even during the most turbulent of the times, the trade between India and China remained intact. And this is a history of over 200 years. So this is not something which is peculiar to this government. But I do take the points that
it has gone to a record high last year.
I mean, there could be economic reasons for it. But I'll take those points to Mr. R.P. Singh before I bring in my other guest into the discussion. Mr. Singh, a quick rebuttal from you. It's all right. It's great that you're talking about political discourse and the language which is being used. The argument that the Congress party is making is that you are clearly missing the woods for the trees. You do not want to address the elephant in the room because you don't want to face this issue on the floor of the House. And that is why you're creating a ruckus over the political discourse, which is not even substantially important. That's the point that the Congress made. Respond to that, sir.
Anushka, I hope you will allow me to complete.
Sure.
Remember, Mr. Anthony on the floor of the House said that we are not building up the infrastructure along with the China border because we are scared that China will misuse our infrastructure and they will come in. You also know how much infrastructure has been provided to army in the last few years. They never bought Rafale, they never bought any bulletproof jackets.
Mitaji, let him finish. I did not allow anybody to interrupt you. Yes, Mr. Singh, please go ahead.
This is a new bad habit there.
No, Mr. Singh, please go.
So, we did what we did. I mean, everyone knows that the army is strengthened today. Army is a free hand. I mean, I still remember our air chief asked for the permission after 26/11. He was refused. Now, air chief doesn't need to ask permission. He can take action, whatever action he has to take. But coming to the point of Madam saying that, their 2 leaders have given their sacrifice for the nation. No, they are wrong. Mrs. Gandhi intendingly was painting 6 as anti-India for majority vote. She played a chessboard And it's not me who's saying. This is GBS Sidhu book, which is on Khalistan conspiracy, which he categorically stated that it was pre-planned. Had Mrs. Gandhi not died coincidentally, even then this would have happened. So it was all the doing of Mrs. Gandhi, what happened with Mrs. Gandhi, although we are against that what happened. But I mean, claiming chest thumping on that account is bad. Only person who has given his life after the independence.
I have Mr. Kailash Adhikari, Mr. Rashid Kidwai and Karan Verma. The three gentlemen who have been very patiently listening to our political guest as well. Mr. Kidwai, I'm coming to you first. When it comes to matters of national security, clearly this is one of the core issues that BJP, at least in the public narrative, has championed. When it comes to matters along the LAC, when it comes to the transgressions that we are seeing from the Chinese, the BJP has often said that, look, these are matters you need to tread very, very carefully upon. Not all details in the interest of national security can be shared. But, somewhere it's intertwined. The political discourse, national security, and the messaging coming in from the Congress and the BJP. How would you decode that for us?
I think, Anusha, first and foremost, an attempt has been made that the fine distinction between the Indian state and government of India is sought to be blurred. As if, you are saying something about the government, it amounts to you're questioning the Indian state, which is actually untrue. If you remember, in the height of 1962 conflict, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was a young member of the opposition, he had demanded a special session of parliament, and Nehru conceded that, and a special session of parliament was called. Today, there is to my dismay, there is lack of, there is total trust deficit between the two parties, that means BJP and the Congress. BJP and the Congress. The Congress is the architect of three decisive victories of 1948, 1965 and 1971. Whereas, you see, the Congress opponents are sought to be questioning Congress nationalist credentials. And therefore, in the process, Congress is saying things that perhaps it should not be saying. That's the long and short of it.
No. I 200% agree with you, Mr. Kidwai, that there should always be a distinction between the government and the nation. You must support your government on key issues, but you should also be open to criticize and have a constructive dialogue when it comes to your government. But the kind of statements which have come in from the Congress party, say yesterday we were discussing the statement of Rahul Gandhi, Arunachal mein pit rahe hain. This is also a day and age of social media. This is also a day and age where propaganda war by the Chinese is being fought in the public domain. This is also the time where in political narrative, a certain degree of resetting has happened when it comes to national security issues. So somewhere the self-goal by the BJP can also not be, by the Congress can also not be denied. Mr. Kidwai.
I think, Anusha, this is a thing for the political, spokespersons to respond. But to my understanding, no sane person in India would question Mr. Rahul Gandhi's credentials. He may be winning, he may be losing, he may be whatever. Questioning his, commitment to the Indian state. And that is what. So when you question that, a projection is sought to be made as if Mr. Gandhi's pronouncements are intentionally aimed at, benefiting the enemy or something like that. I think it can be slip of tongue, it can be articulation's problem, it can be a number of things. Okay. I'm not defending. But what I'm saying is when you do this, when, you question me or I question me, I think it is very sad for the country. This trust deficit will not lead us anywhere. The kind of thing that was said about Indira Gandhi as Prime Minister, I think they are most unfortunate. All
right, Kailash Adhikari, I'm coming to you. Mr. Rashid Kidwai is saying that this is some sort of blurring of lines between the government and the nation, and we need to remind ourselves as a nation that a political opposition, even during the peak of many wars that this country has seen, criticism or questions from the opposition are not new, even on national security matters. Mr. Adhikari.
Firstly, I'd like to say that the kind of language that Mr. Kharge is using, he's a seasoned politician, leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, as well as now the president of the Congress party. The kind of words that he has used for the prime minister of this country, and he should remember that Narendra Modi ji is also his prime minister. Yeah. So the kind of words that he has used is completely unparliamentary. Whether they are used within the parliament, inside the confines of the parliament, or whether they are used in a political rally, he is in his complete consciousness and senses while using those words. So that is completely wrong. And history has it, you all were displaying on your screen right now that whenever there has been a slur speech by anyone from the Congress party, be it in 2014, 17 elections, be it the national elections, UP, Gujarat elections, the kind of results or decimation that a Congress has got. And more than that, it's it's out there. It's like a writing on the wall that after 2014, the kind of respect that India as a nation has got, on the World Forum, it is now that people take India seriously. After Narendra Modi ji became the Prime Minister and his outreach to make the world realize that we are 20% of the world. And in one of the summit, he, even being in the same room, he did not even give a nod to the Chinese premier. I mean, this is the kind of stature that India enjoys now. So Congress, as the principal opposition party, must understand this. Nation comes before politics. And I believe that...
But,
that
Mr. Adhikari, there's one distinction that I'd like to draw here. There's one caveat that I'd like to draw here. Is that laws and political discourse in this country is not new. And I don't think there's one political party that can be singled out. I'm talking specifically on matters of national security. Mr. Kidwai, I saw you smiling when Mr. Adhikari was making his point. I'm sure you have something to say. Quick rebuttal from you.
Very, very simple. No. And this is, Indian contemporary history didn't start in 2014. You look at the 1971 war. America was, openly, challenging India, and there was a thing of 7th Fleet moving in and all, and how Indira Gandhi defied that entire all kind of pressure and split Pakistan into two. How can you say that, India got its position in 2014? This is most unfortunate and inaccurate. This is what I'm saying. We say that, yes, 2014, of course, India has got a, big place in the high table, etc. And we are among, the top 3, top 5 nations of the world. But we cannot say that, we were not in 1947 or 1952 or 1965 or any other, year.
I'm going to bring back the focus of the debate once again as to what was said by Mr. Kharge, the clashes that happened, along the line of actual control, and the sort of demands which the opposition party is making. Karan, coming to you on national security issues on many countries, including, one of the oldest democracies across the world. Even in America, there's a certain party decorum which is followed when it comes to issues of national security. While there may be criticism, there's, opposition, but a certain degree of consensus building always happens. Is that missing in our country?
Oh, absolutely, it is missing. And generally, Anusha, I am of the opinion that the party in power should reach out and try to build that consensus. But unfortunately, in this situation, the opposition has completely plummeted to depths never seen before. The DGMO Galwan made it clear in a statement that not an inch has been lost. Despite that, the Congress party and its spokespersons, which includes Randeep Surjewala, they continued spreading this narrative that perhaps due to unconfirmed reports, we have lost territory. Now, this does a lot of bad to the morale of our country as a whole. And not just Randeep Surjewala, time and again, they have cast aspersions on the army. Today they might come in news studios and say that we salute the valor of our soldiers. But when you say pit gaye, it doesn't do good to the morale of our country. It doesn't do good to the spirit of a nation. Mallikarjun Kharge, despite being a seasoned politician, he has resorted to language which is not just unparliamentary, but also it doesn't augur well for a time when a country needs to be united to face a bigger challenge. Let's understand this. China right now is suffering from tremendous pressure within. The real estate prices have plummeted. There is a COVID wave happening. People are revolting against China. This might be a distraction tactic by China. If we can actually be united and exploit the fault lines within China at this time, the stuff they're doing in Xinjiang, the stuff they're doing with Hong Kong and Taiwan, we can actually build a very solid united narrative.
And in the age of social media,
this is the time for political unity. And in the age of social
media and the information war, a certain degree of consensus, political consensus from any country, including India, while there are tensions along the LAC, while there are tensions along the yes, as I said earlier, that you can have your highs and lows in political discourse, but when it comes to national security, there should be a political discussion. Mitaji, giving you uninterrupted time to respond. My key question to you is that when it comes to national security, is there a possibility in this country that we can have some degree of cooperation between the center and the government?
So people who are in positions of power, people who are actually currently governing the nation, it is the responsibility lies on them to reach out. All we have been doing is asking some very legitimate queries and asking for a conversation and for a discussion, either on the floor of the parliament or if they may want to
Anusha,
have a
can I rebut?
meeting, we
This
are
is not
open to
fair.
it. We are open to it. We are open to it. Can I
please let her finish.
have an
Karan, please let her
uninterrupted
finish.
time?
Yes.
You know what
No,
a real
the
insult
DGMO
was?
Galwan has
What
made
a
it
real-
clear.
Please do
What are you
not
questioning
interrupt.
then?
Please do
What
not
are you
interrupt.
questioning then?
Please do not. I have
No,
laid down my
please,
queries
please
very
do not
crystal
spread
clear.
misinformation.
No, please,
Please do not spread misinformation.
Karan, at
Show
least
some
on this show.
grace.
Mita,
Show
one second.
some
Mita,
grace.
Don't
Mita,
panic. Don't
Mita,
go frantic.
Mita,
Show some
I'm here.
grace.
Mita,
You
one
know-
second.
Do not talk lies on
Mitaji,
national
Mitaji,
television.
Mitaji, give me
No,
one
we are
second.
not.
Karan, I gave you all the time to make your points. Let Mitaji make her arguments. I'll come back to you. Mitaji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what a real insult was? In 2017 election campaign in Gujarat, when Prime Minister Modi accused former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister of 10 years, along with former General Kapoor, Hamid Ansari, of doing some kind of a treason along with Pakistan to set up a Congress government in Gujarat. That was a real insult, both to the army as well as to the former Prime Minister. We have done no such thing.
I want to bring in-
Instead of
Yeah.
just concentrating on mere wordplay, as how he has been, there was a comparison done, right? So instead of just looking at a political rhetoric, at a political speech, in a political rally, you should come clean and you should give answers.
Okay.
In past
Mr.
also,
RP
in
Singh,
June
Mr.
2020,
RP Singh,
we have seen that there has been
this
clear
is the Prime Minister
distinction
of our country
between
and this is the Prime
statements-
Minister for the
between
opposition as well.
statements
He is the Prime
made-
Minister
being
of our
made.
nation.
Of
And
course,
more
and was
importantly,
Prime Minister Manmohan Singh not the
I want to
Prime
bring in
Minister
Mr.
of
RP
the nation?
Singh. I want to bring in Mr. RP Singh. Mr. RP Singh, when it comes to taking opposition
10
into
seconds,
confidence,
Anusha, 10
one
seconds
second,
I want to
Karan, let
rebut
me bring in
please.
Mr. RP Singh. Mr. RP Singh, when it comes to matters of national security, it is incumbent upon the elected government of the day to take opposition into confidence. Why has that not been done? Mr. RP Singh.
I'll appreciate. Give 10 seconds to Karan because he wanted to say something.
No.
I mean,
You finish
Karan,
your
please go
point,
ahead.
then I'll
I'm
give
so
Karan.
sorry, Anusha.
I'll give Karan the
Thank you.
opportunity
Thank
towards
you.
the end of the show. Mr. RP Singh, please go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Anushka. 2006, 2008, 2009, 2013. Similar statements were made by the ministers in the House saying that this is a statement we have made. We have nothing more to discuss. I just now read you the statement of the 28th April of the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji. So this has been precedent. Whatever has been discussed will be discussed in the PSC. There's a PSC where they can discuss each and everything.
Okay.
But again, can this sort of language be used against the Prime Minister which has been used? I'm so sorry. I mean, mouse, pit gay. But there's a new law in the democratic parliament.
Mitaji, please no interruption.
Especially, Mitaji, please, please. And especially for the army,
Sorry, sir.
especially for the forces, boys who are fighting day and night for us. And then you are asking, tell us where all they have been deployed.
Okay.
Why
okay,
are you asking?
okay.
Can you tell me any rationale
I'm
for
short
asking
of
such a
time.
question in
I'm
the
short of
parliament?
time. Karan, 30
Our
seconds to
queries
you.
were very specific.
Karan, 30 seconds to you. Please go ahead.
You know, half knowledge is very dangerous, Anusha. PRO Tezpur put out a statement clearly stating that not an inch of land has been lost. DGMO Galwan. Now, this is not the government of the day talking, but Mitaji doesn't understand that. Does he not trust the army when she's asking this question in the debate again and again? No. That means you do not trust the army. That means you do not trust PRO Tezpur. That means you do not trust DGMO Galwan.
Level of Chinese activity along the line of actual
Of
control.
course, they
Can
will
you
be
deny
because
that?
our
No,
government
you
is
cannot.
alert.
You
Because
cannot.
our government is alert.
I'm
It is
afraid,
not
Mitaji,
sleeping.
and to other
It is
guests
not
on the broadcast,
sleeping
the
like
time
the
is
Congress
up.
party.
I thank you all
are
for joining us on the show, Mr. RP Singh, Meeta Chakrabarti, Kailash Adhikari, Mr. Rashid Kidwai and Karan Verma. The last has not been said when it comes to national security and political discourse in this country. It does need a reset. We do need more consensus, political consensus, and a united front coming in, a political front coming in when it comes to critical matters of national security, especially when we are dealing with a nation like China. We're slipping into a very short break. Coming up on the other side, 3 months after the cold-blooded murder of a pharmacist in Maharashtra, Amravati, the story gets murkier. Stay tuned.